This is a podcast from BFM 89.9, the business station.
Good morning, you're listening to The Breakfast Grille. I'm Shazana Mokhtar. Last year, the government estimates that cybercrime incidents incurred total losses exceeding 1.5 billion ringgit, involving more than 35,000 reported cases. And this is believed to be just the tip of the iceberg. As businesses step up safeguards against cyber attacks, how is Ace Market-listed cybersecurity specialist LGMS positioning themselves to benefit from this long-term theme? We're catching up today with Fong Fook, CEO of LGMS Berhad. CF, good morning. Welcome back to The Breakfast Grille.
Good morning, Shaz. Thanks for the invitation.
Let's start with your first quarter earnings, which you released on 20th of May. Looking at your top line, revenue for the first 3 months of this year increased by nearly 12% on year to 9.6 million ringgit. But compared to the preceding Q4, revenue fell by 27%. Is this typical at the start of the year to see fewer projects on the table, or is there another reason for the slower activity?
Well, it's always typical and seasonal. As you can compare with Q1 last year, this Q1 was actually quite a lot. We have jumped more than 20% in terms of revenue. Nevertheless, our profit margin has dropped significantly. Now, there's the reason for that because right now we are still at a very aggressive expansion mode, and most of our profit went into expenses of hiring, training, and recertifications of our employees. So that's why we kind of expect that this is going to happen because now, again, the expansion mode will continue throughout the year. And it's the same message I've always been telling our investors that right now we're still at a very aggressive growth stage. As an overall, I think the cybersecurity trend is still on the uptrend, but nevertheless, now we are still focusing on aggressive expansion first.
Okay, I want to talk about that workforce expansion, which, as you've just said, is the reason why your profit before tax and just net profit overall is down. I think profit before tax fell by 19% on year to 2.6 million ringgit, but it is a 54% plunge quarter on quarter. So more headcount means more benefits for the employees, and you've hired some 50 new employees over the span of a year. When are we going to start to see the added staff numbers translate to higher revenue, and by how much?
As an overall, I think we are still short of hands right now. Our target for last year was 200, and we only achieved about 150 by now, and we're still short of hands. Now, the good thing is that we have no shortage of work. But the problem is, LGMS, we are very much focusing on service delivery. So our capacity in delivery is very much based on the number of headcounts that we have. That means, in another word, the more headcounts we have, the more jobs we can digest, right? So that's the situation right now. So in order to address that, we also have worked on other alternatives methods, so which I'm going to share shortly.
Okay, please do share. What's the alternative ways to fill in that gap you have in terms of human resources?
Yeah. So right now, because our dependency on human is so heavy, and like I said before, if we want to take up more jobs, we need more hands. So 3 years ago, we have started a project called Project Mars. And this project we were using this opportunity to develop our own product. And this product is to mimic what human can do in terms of security assessment, in terms of reporting. And this product was launched June last year.
This is the Star Sentry project.
Star Sentry product, yes. And it was launched by the Ministry of Digital, our Minister Gormin Singh. And we have started a trial and error to roll out the product to the market. And for the last 6 months, we have learned a lot, from the market. And our initial intention was to address the SME market. But we have spent a lot of time educating the public, and the result is not as what we wanted. So this year, we have switched strategy. So instead of selling Star Sentry as a product, as a solution to the public, we actually turn it into become a software as a service. So meaning that instead of telling people this is a product that can help you to do security scanning, they can help you to do certain things, instead of doing that, what we have done is to repackage this as a service. So we are offering organizations offering them as a monthly security health checks, monthly security consulting services. So instead of buying a box, you're acquiring a service, you're paying for a service. So far in this quarter, we have seen some significant increase of interest, and we also have secured 2 partners to help us to roll out these solution as a service solutions. Yeah.
So these 2 partners, are they VS Techs and Anterex?
No, actually VS Tech, we have terminated the exclusive collaboration agreement segment since last year because the model that we have worked out didn't work out because when we go and address the end user market, it's very difficult to educate the end users, educate the SMEs about why security assessment is important, why you should do a security health checks. So we have decided to cancel that plan after we have learn for it for 6 months. So this year we have a new partner, Celcom DG. You'll be soon seeing our solutions will be on their menu of offering. And we have another working partner, BDO, the 5th largest accounting firm in the world, is also going to use Star Sentry to offer Star Sentry service to their customers, to their auditees. So these two are the new initiatives we have by going through channels and deliver Star Sentry as a service.
I see. So the idea is this Star Sentry is based on a subscription model, right? So the idea, they pay that subscription and then they get this range of services that will help them put cybersecurity matters in check, essentially.
Yes. So it will be a managed services, meaning that they pay a subscription. There will be someone at LGMS or at our partner's place to manage the scan for them and send them the reports. So instead of them have to work around on the box by themselves, like in a conventional way. Yeah.
Are there any competitive products or similar products on the market as to Star Sentry at this moment?
Not exactly. So we do not have an apple-to-apple comparison, but nevertheless, there are software out there that's similar with what Star Sentry can do. But these softwares are very specific purpose, specific built software. For instance, you can find a lot of this software in the US market where you buy the software, you use it to conduct a security scan, but the software is not like the normal Office software. It's a very purpose-specific software. So you need to be a security engineer to know how to configure it, how to install it, and how to even operate it. So that's why Star Sentry have took away all this complexity, and all you need to do is just, for our technicians, all they need to do is just plug in the box into the customer's network and switch it on. That's it. So we took care of all the complexity. We have reduced the complexity of reporting. So anyone can read the report. It doesn't have to be a technician to read the report. They interpret the report. Yeah.
We're going to come back to Star Sentry, and I would like to talk more about how much penetration you think it will have within the market, which sectors you're aiming for. But coming back to the issue of human resources. So you mentioned earlier that you have 150 staff. You actually want 200.
We need 200 over.
Do you have a bias for experienced workers, or are you taking fresh graduates into your workforce?
Yeah, both. We're having both fresh grads and experienced workers. But now, and if you look at it, our biggest threats in terms of talents is Singapore. Yeah, so Singapore, not just in our industries, but we also have experience in similar industries with our auditors, their accountants. We also seen how the brain drains went to Singapore because of the currency exchange. So same thing is also happening to our industry.
The fact that you're competing with the Singapore industry, is that part of what's perhaps creating the higher than expected staffing expenses? You're having to factor in what you need to put on the table in order to make a job with LGMS more attractive than going across the border.
Yes, unfortunately. I think this happens across the different industries as well. So we have to be creative. We have to think of a way, how to have better benefits for employees.
We are seeing that because of this workforce expansion, your margins compressed from 37% to 27% compared to a year ago. Is maintaining margins less of a priority for you at this moment? And how long do you think investors will be able to stomach the narrower margins?
Well, margins is still our priorities. Maintaining margins is still our priorities. Our top priority is always ensure the company is profitable. That's number one. Of course, we wanted to maintain our margin and if not increase our margin. But I think this is a transition period. It will not be there forever. Our expectation is that once Star Sentry can address the market and once the market is getting more mature, more people are aware about the importance of cybersecurity and importance of security scanning, then I would say our margin will climb back up.
Okay, so you're waiting for that tipping point in terms of market acceptance for products like Star Sentry. I want to pivot a little bit and take a look at your partnership with Japan's Mitsui & Co. because they took a 25% stake in LGMS last April, something we covered the last time we spoke to you on the Breakfast Grille. Yep. You mentioned conducting a business revamp with Mitsui on board. So how has this partnership reshaped LGMS? And is that the transition that you're talking about in a way?
Well, I think because of Mitsui, we have also switched some of our strategies. Like, for example, one of the strategies we have switched on is to focus on premium customers, meaning that for those customers who are more serious and concerned about security, we're going to have a much closer relationship with them and upsell them higher value services. So this is one of the strategies that we have come up with Mitsui. And in general, I think Mitsui, they do contribute in terms of network, in terms of introducing us to some of the high-value client. But nevertheless, Mitsui, as such a large organization, I think I mean, from our side, from LGMS alone, we expected much faster pace. But however, from a huge conglomerate point of view, things are moving a little slower.
Okay.
So that's why we have these kind of gaps in between where we want to move very aggressively, where Mitsui, they take their time in introducing us to their contact, to the network. I think if we can address this gap, we can go in aggressively and Mitsui can speed up. And if Mitsui can speed up in terms of linking us with their network, I think this our revenue will fly.
I see. Okay, so there's a bit of disconnect, I suppose, in terms of expectations of what you...
In terms of pace.
In terms of pace.
Yeah.
I'm speaking to CF Fong, CEO of LGMS Berhad. When we come back, how is LGMS growing its overseas presence? Stay tuned, BFM 89.9. Thanks for staying tuned to The Breakfast Grille. I'm Shazana Mokhtar, and today I'm speaking to Fong Fook, CEO of LGMS Berhad. Now, earlier we did cover some of the revenue trends that we're seeing from the first quarter earnings. I want to deep dive into them because what we did see was that you have three main business segments: risk prevention, cyber risk management and compliance, as well as cyber threat and incidents response. For Q1, there was a notable increase in revenue from cyber risk management and compliance by about 75%. Is this uptick related to momentum created by the passage of the Cybersecurity Act 2024 last year that does impose more stringent requirements on businesses deemed as part of the nation's critical information infrastructure? Can we say that that's a direct
It's not direct impact, but if speaking about the 2024 Cybersecurity Act, it does have a long-term positive impact to the demand for security assessment, to the demand for incident response, because these two requirements were spelled out specifically in the Act. I mean, organizations which are categorized under the critical national information infrastructure, they have to conduct security assessment. They have to have the capability to respond to incident within a certain period of time. Now, these two also our core belongs to our core competencies. I would say the impact from the Act will come in not so soon because we in Malaysia, I think we are still quite relaxed. We haven't seen the authorities imposing swift and hard, requirements on this on the CNII, critical national information infrastructure yet. But I think in terms of long-term wise, if you look at it, it will bring in positive impact to the company.
Okay.
But back to your questions, the growth of the prevention is merely because of nowadays, I think the market is getting more aware about cyber threats, and we have seen more cyber attacks even recently, and thus I think that creates the demand for prevention. But nevertheless, these preventions mainly come from large organizations. But
okay.
the SME, they're still pretty vulnerable.
So it's very much your existing target base, essentially, that's coming to you for these services.
Yeah.
You mentioned that the Cybersecurity Act will provide long-term impetus. What business opportunities are you pursuing or laying the groundwork for in order to see this translate to revenue across your business segments?
Yeah, the Cybersecurity Act will benefit us in several ways. Number one is the security assessment, the prevention segment. It will create a demand for prevention for our security assessment service, our vulnerability assessment service, penetration testing, and the Cybersecurity Act will also benefit us in terms of incident response requirement. We will be able to help the CNII to beef up their incident response timeline, the response time, and also their capability. And also, finally, is the training. We can offer training to these organizations to help them to speed up and beef up the security. So these are the positive impact I would say it will come in, but maybe not immediate time, but in long term.
We're giving this, 3 to 5 years, perhaps, to see some kind of
less
impact?
than that, maybe in another 12, 24 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you think this is going to affect your client demographic then? I mean, what's your projection when you think of the balance between public and private, or in terms of the different economic sectors that are currently seeking your services? How do you think that could change?
Yeah, it is changing because now traditionally, a lot of regulated industries players engage in LGMS, for example, banks, insurance agencies. You can see most major first-tier banks, second-tier banks, actually our client. That's traditionally because they are regulators, have to conduct security assessment, they have to conduct various security need. But we are starting to see other industries which were not traditionally regulated and engaging us now. Like we have clients coming from agriculture sector, manufacturing, and tradings. So I think the trend will continue to expand. That means we will no longer have heavy dependency on the financial sector anymore. We will have clients from various other industry, non-traditional regulated sectors coming in, and I think this is good overall for the country.
Okay.
Right? Because previously the financial industry are so heavily regulated and so well protected, whereas the rest are not. So with the Cybersecurity Act, this will help. Now, in terms of public and private, unfortunately, until today, 99.99% of our client base still belongs to the private sector.
Okay.
So there's still another territory we haven't even stepped in yet, which is the public sector. And this is something that we have been trying very hard since last year. And we're trying to find out what are the most effective and efficient way for us to step into public sector. So we're still engaging various parties to explore the possibilities.
So what are you doing then to improve your public sector clientele? And what do you think is the obstacles?
I think one of the biggest obstacles we have is that we do not have a hunting team. We do not have a lobbying team to lobby the public sector. We do not constantly go and visit public sector's officials. So I think this is one of the things that we have tried to fix, and we are actively looking for partners for the last 24 months, 2 years, who has working relationship with the public sectors in general. And these are the channels that we plan to work with and to provide our service to the public sectors.
Okay, so you're looking for partners that can help grow your presence among the public sector clientele.
Yes.
I want to come back to your plug-and-play device, Star Sentry, and whether you see this as the entry-level service to broaden your clientele among those other industries rather than the typical target market that you have. Is that kind of the way that you see it going, or is it more of a national service type?
Well, initially when we designed Star Sentry, we were having an SME in mind because it was designed with a philosophy of plug and play. So once you plug the device into a network, it will do a security health check as if consultants are doing it for you, and then you can get a report and interpret it by the software. So nevertheless, in our process of in the previous 6 months when we launched the product and we have gone through a learning process, we realized that SME is not easy when it comes to educating them about cybersecurity. A lot of SMEs still having the mindset that we are SME, we have no valuable information for the hackers to target on. But then again, one thing that the SME, what they're having is that because as long as they're using computers, they have email address, they have websites, they have, they're using instant messengers, they're equally vulnerable compared with larger organizations. It's just that the larger organizations may have been invested into prevention, invested into detection, so they are less impactful when disaster happens. But for the SME, one disaster is enough to wipe them out. So Star Sentry was designed to address SME.
Right.
Unfortunately, the education part is really draining us out. So we have came up with offer as a service instead.
Like you said.
Yeah.
Okay, you say that is because of lack of awareness, but could it just be a pricing issue? Because SMEs perhaps feel that they cannot afford the investment needed to actually purchase these cybersecurity safeguards.
Yeah, initially we thought so too. That's why the price of Star Sentry is very, very minimum, kept to a very minimum, and we have a very reasonable entry price for the SME. It's just that based on the feedback that we had, based on the survey and feedback working with our resellers, I think the common understanding from SME is that they don't think hackers will attack them.
Okay.
They don't think hacker will be interested into them. So
it is a mindset shift that needs to be tackled.
Yes, we need to have a paradigm shift. I think the price of Star Sentry is just equally as more or less like a laptop. If you are using computers and laptops in the office, you can afford Star Sentry. It's nothing too big of a difference.
Okay. Coming to that overseas expansion plan, I think in the IPO prospectus, you did mention that 7.7 million ringgit was earmarked for strategic business expansion to overseas markets. That hasn't materialized. The monies have been diverted to working capital because this goal couldn't be achieved in the 24-month time frame. What happened, especially since a Singapore branch opening was in the works at the time of the IPO?
Yeah, during that time, we have plans to go direct to Singapore, and then we also realized that in order to keep the expenses low, many of our Singapore clients, in fact, we checked with the client, many of them are okay that we operate without an office in Singapore, and the earlier. Earlier we have an registered office in Singapore. It's primarily just for transaction purposes. And based on the feedback from the clients, so we decided that not to have a physical setup in Singapore, but continue to serve our clients from Singapore. And this also brings back to the MOU with our potential partner, Antarex. They are a Singapore company. They have regional offices in Singapore, Philippines, and Malaysia. And the reason why recently we have an MOU with them is mainly back to this alignment with the overseas expansion alignment.
I see. What exactly will you be doing with them? What regions are you looking at in your MOU?
Yes. Well, this company, they are specialized in managed security services. It is something that we are not actively involved in. If you know LGMS, we are providing security health checks, security assessment, whereas these people, you think of them like the security guards that's watching the CCTV camera for you. They are monitoring the security, state of security for you. This is their core business. So in collaboration with Antarex, this basically creates a complete picture in terms of security services. So we're doing the prevention, health checks, they are monitoring the security for the client. So we are looking at both ends. So they have quite a significant footprint in Philippines, in Singapore, and these are the areas that we want. These are the markets we want to go in as well. And with the collaboration, with the potential acquisition of a stake, it will help us to expand to this market rapidly.
What's going to decide whether or not you take a stake in Antarex? And what's the timeline in terms of making that decision? Yeah,
right now we are going through a due diligence process. Hopefully by end of July or end of June, we could possibly have a result. We can have a result by then, and then we'll probably make the announcement in due time whether or not the acquisition will happen.
Okay. Let's take a look at what's happening, I think, more globally, because while cybersecurity is seen as a long-term theme, the current global economic conditions are upending the best of plans. So how prepared is LGMS to weather a potential economic slowdown that could affect the demand for cybersecurity services, especially among the SME market that you're targeting with products like StarSentry?
Yeah, I think overall, security is a subject that can weather through different economic climates. Whether it's a bad economy, a good economies, organizations still need cybersecurity protections.
You don't see cybersecurity as being the first to be culled?
I mean, we have been through different years. We're back in 2008. We have gone through different cycles of economy. So far, I mean, the company, we are still achieving double-digit growth every year. It's just that the awareness now that we are seeing, I mean, we have seeing slight increase in terms of maturity, but it's not the pace that we wanted.
CF, your share price has been trending below 1 ringgit for most of this year, far from the high of 1 ringgit 79 that you reached back in July 2024. Your valuations are at 32 times, which is lofty compared to the broader tech market. Are you too expensive for investors looking for a tech sector play?
Well, if you look at our price in terms of PE, I think we are still considered a lower one. If you look at more mature market in the US, companies like LGMS alike, their trading is much more higher, 100 over times PE. I think as an overall market sentiment is still not positive yet because of uncertainty recently. But what we are kind of proud of is we are still the one and only cybersecurity specialist in the market right now. And the barriers of entry is quite high. And in terms of our qualifications and certifications, we are quite positive still, and the share price will come back up. It's just a matter of time and sentiment.
CF, thank you so much for speaking with me today, and we look forward to catching up on what's happening with LGMS.
Thank you.
I've been speaking to CF Fong, CEO of LGMS Berhad. This has been The Breakfast Grill on BFM 89.9.